Hello. I am saying hello from Bucharest, but I am so glad to have together with me my colleague Andrew, who is the delegate from Egypt, and also the film directors of the films that you watched in the cinema. And it's so great that we succeeded actually to show these. Five short films in the all seven venues at the same time. In Lithuania, in Ukraine, Romania, Greece, Bulgaria, Egypt, and South Africa. So thank you so much because we had very interesting content to show. And it's my pleasure now, together with Andrew, to ask you some questions. Some of our partners will translate, so we will make some breaks between the questions and your responses. So let's start with the first one. Yes?
That was a break for the translation.
Yes.
Everything is intended.
Yes, yes, this is it. It's interesting. From year by year, we learn something. But yeah, it's also great and a good opportunity to overcome this challenge of languages. This is nice. It's rich, yeah. So let's
Yeah,
talk
it's much
about
better to.
the Lithuanian films, yeah. And I would ask Andrew to ask the first question, if yeah, if you want.
Yes. So my question for Jorė,
Yes,
I'm
perfect.
pronouncing the name right. Yes. The most interesting thing, I think, when we selected the film, we were discussing about this drama, which takes place in very limited location and between two characters, which I always feel it's somehow good material for a short film to be very. Condensed like this way, but sometimes it doesn't go well. In your case, it was very well actually. So I need to know about the writing of the film. How did you develop to have this let's say long scene between these two characters, and also the direction between them, especially in this location, and how did you find this location?
Yes, it was. I can tell more about the location. It's actually invented. Shopping mall parking lot is just a parking lot in Vilnius in the center. It's actually close to Skalvija, where people are watching in Lithuania. And usually when we came to this place during location scout, a lot of teenagers were like skating there. And then when we were filming, we asked them to leave. And then they said, I hope this film is worth it, you know? So they had to leave the skating place. So yeah, it's just a small story. About the shooting in location, yes, it was a bit complicated. The biggest problem, I guess, was that it had this plastic roof. So it started to rain, and then we had to wait before it starts to rain because it wasn't. Then it would be in the sound, and then it was also that there was this sort of city festival around. So the sound person was very unhappy because there was always some concerts going on while we were filming. But about the light, like we were shooting mostly like the all film in one part and second part.
Let's make a small break for translation.
Sorry,
because we will be lost in translation then. Yes, thank you. But it's interesting. This question was asked also from a spectator from Romania about the place, the location of the story. Yeah, the shooting. So a bit of 10 seconds more. We receive questions for you guys.
Okay, so we were shooting mostly like in two parts, like the first part of the film where they talk in the parking lot, and next part in the parking lot next to the car. So one was one day and next another day. And then we were shooting these very long takes. I'm working with IOTA Periodo, who's also a director. I think your festival showed one of his films or maybe more in the past. So with him, we worked on 2 short films already. So he always likes to shoot in this very long takes, but it saves time. So we were doing this, but then in the editing, we couldn't use part of the material because the light changed. So that was this problem. But somehow I think actually those takes were the best, which were with the good light, which we could edit together. So it was fine, but we were thinking about it when they were making the call sheet, the schedule. We were thinking about lights, that it will change and that we have to hurry. Yeah, but I think the most challenging part was sound. Yeah, with for act.
The what? I didn't hear the last word.
Sound was the most difficult part.
Okay, the sound. Okay.
Because of the concert close by.
Okay.
So in terms of production, a bit challenging.
Yeah, but for the sound people, they're always a bit like that. They're perfectionists. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess, yeah. And for actors, I think it was fine to be in long takes. Yeah. In the directing. So I'm kind of used to work with it. It's a bit problematic in the editing, I think, but with the next film, I think I learned somehow to work with these very long takes. Like part of the film, we shot like to one character like 6 minutes and other character like 6 or even more minutes. So it's like, I think I learned how to do, and then that I can't really explain how, but I think it comes with practice, but it helps also. It's very like a production thing, but it really helps to save time because you don't need to change anything every time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I will move and come back to you, Jorė, but to move to Vancouver. Not that far, it's not on our time zone, but still, thank you for your film. Before to ask a question that I received on WhatsApp from a Romanian spectator, I would like to ask you, how was your approach to casting, and how did you work with the little girl, and if you had previous experience in this? And let's do a short break for translation. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. So thank you for the invitation and the question. Working with a girl, Mariana, was a big part of the film. I had done short films with young people, with kids before, and I always found alternative ways to cast, so I didn't go through casting agencies in previous times as well. This was a particular case because it was the most difficult role that I had. And I didn't want to have a kid from Athens that goes to theater groups and stuff like that. So I wanted somebody from the location, somebody that lives there and knows the place, knows the people, and all of the people apart from the older brother are from this area. So we contacted the local primary schools, and they were very happy to help us. And we did casting in the primary schools. with the collaboration of one headmaster. And we saw all the little girls of the area that is between 8 and 11 years old. And we found Mariana, which was love at first sight, I would say. She has her look is very deep, the way she looks is very deep. And she had a very good instinct with improvisation, very good instinct to hear what you want to tell her and to go for the objective of the scene each time until the end and not go out of the scene. We worked. Should I make a pause? Or?
Yes, thank you. Because not interrupting you, it's also in a way I can't say you that you should a bit stop in order to translate. So I was thinking maybe to say or not. So a short break for translation. And thank you. And a question from Bulgaria for you, Artemis. In order to think now in the break of translation, how did you learn about the myth, about this myth?
Should I go? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, to finish the previous question, we worked with a lot of games, theater games, but not only, with the person that played the older brother. We worked with a theater educator that is working with kids a lot. So we spend all summer basically doing games and improvisations on the themes of the film and working on location as well, doing rehearsals on the actual locations most of the time. And our goal was to build that relationship between the older brother and the little kid, which was the main thing of the movie, I think, the main challenge to seem that they are actually related.
Yeah, because they did this. You did this with them.
So that was, and then they would improvise during the days of the shoot. They would improvise on more specific guidelines, but they had already done a lot of related improvisations in the past. So that was all how we worked, basically. And should I keep on? Or?
Yeah, after 10 seconds to the second question. Yeah, and then it's very interesting, and we have a very short slot, but our audience, our international audience, will vote also their favorite film, and it's also nice to see the people behind the film that they watched and they loved.
So about the myth you asked, so the film was written in a place like the area that I actually shot, but I was doing location scouting and I was recommended to that place. I knew that place, so I went there and thought that, okay, this is the place for the film. However, the myth didn't exist and the magician didn't exist. It was a goodbye film, a walking road trip, let's say, around a village that is stricken by industries and poverty and unemployment. But when I decided to do that in Aliveri, that's in that area, then of course I did research on the place and I transformed a lot of scenes when I actually found the original places. So imagine even the scarecrow scene, the scarecrow was there. I just moved it so that we can see it in the shot, but it was there, and I thought that it brought out themes of the film. In the same way, when I found out about the myth, I felt that it related to the theme of the movie, which is the idea that when people are migrating and going away from our place, we have a disappearance in a way from the physical plane. So that was the idea, that people disappear, even though we know that they are somewhere else in the world, but we lose them. So I think it matched, and I rewrote the script on that idea.
Very, very interesting. So now after this translation, I will ask Andrew to come back and to have the discussion between two Egyptians about the film My Girlfriend.
Okay.
So, I think we can start. So, Kawthar, there's many questions I can ask about your film, and you know how much I appreciate it. But what I need to ask is about the idea, because as Egyptian, I know how much many women suffer from sexual harassments, and I believe this topic is very bold, what you discussed in your film, and it's not in a very ordinary way. It's very special to put the used to be not victim to be the victim in this case. So I need to know. I need you to talk more about the idea of this film and how did you develop the script.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here today. I actually very much I'm impressed by the idea of this festival, and I'm glad I'm here at this moment. To answer your question, Andrew, the idea of this film, it started as not only thinking of myself as a woman, but thinking of questioning what gender is. To me, I wanted to make a film that is like, usually when I see how we as females suffer, it's usually the woman that is suffering, and hence I tried to portray this film in a way of what if we flip shoes, like what if a male put himself in a female's shoes, especially that in Egypt it's very obvious about the constrictions, as you saw in the film, like it's illegal to show to show love between humans in an outside place. So we had to find a way to like we always go through secrecy ways to show love. And by playing this game of changing the roles of what is male and what is a female, for me, I was expressing with this film this question, and hence I was in the sexual harassment part. It was more expressive of how the struggles I see as a woman. So I had to make the male suffer because he's a female in our society. The overall idea of the film, for me, it more questions. It leaves the question of what gender really is, because we have very stereotypical ways of how a man should function and how a woman should function in our society. Which somehow limits how we interact with each other and how we interact with ourselves, even on an interior base. Like I had to make the girl look very masculine and the guy look very feminine, even in the way, like we usually know that masculine people are the one controlling and all, but in this game I tried to let the female is the one who's controlling. So for me, it was a game of switching roles, and mainly since I'm a female, so I'm expressing more the side where I come from. Like I'm showing how females suffer on a male, not on a female, like we're used to in Egyptian cinema. So yeah, this is how it started, and it was finished, obviously.
So let us have a few seconds to the translation. I'm feeling sorry for the translator. Hopefully it can work.
Is the translator translating Arabic or
Ukrainian?
No, the translation is in Bulgarian.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are some venues, and I am actually I'm very happy that people, even if they can't understand everything, they wanted to participate. This is amazing, actually, and it's great. But of course, we have only 3 years, so maybe in future we will also manage to overcome this challenge with languages and with translations. But yeah, this is the case now, and it's good that people are interested. Sometimes, for instance, even in Romania, people are watching films, but they don't stay or they don't participate in the Q&A. So it's really privileged that now people are staying and are like wanting to learn more about you and about your films. So a few seconds, and then we will continue. I think I will go to Alexis, and then I will come back again the round, yeah, with with the filmmakers. Is it okay, Andrew? Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I have few questions for Alexis for IOTA Period Omega. First of all, how did you choose the medium? So you shot on 8 millimeters, yeah, and why and how do you have this approach of filming with this content on this type of medium?
Well, when I use this, in the old days when I was a student, film student, I used to experiment a lot with 8mm Super 8 cameras. So it's a medium that I really love. So nowadays it's sort of like it's a medium that you rarely you don't often see. So it's kind of considered to be obsolete nowadays. Most of the films are shot digitally. So I thought when the idea for this short film came up, I thought it would be the medium, the 8mm medium, kind of felt like ideal for this kind of film, for this kind of experimental film.
Yeah, but what I found very interesting at the same time is that you use something from the past in order also to reflect on the future, and it's quite interesting. Of course, it is this a level of experimental, but I would say it's not only experimental. I mean, you build actually a story there. You succeed in building something very like narrative, in my opinion. Of course, maybe not the normal or regular narrative that we are used to watch it, but still there is a story, and there is and I found it interesting, and this was also a question from an audience, from a spectator about the medium. And then about another question for you was, is there any hope in a world full of technology for the future? How do you see, Alexis? And if it's something that you had in mind when you made this film?
That's a good question. I cannot elaborate a little bit more about the medium as well. I mean, because as you said, but maybe I can pause a little bit for the translator, because I don't know. Was there enough time for the translator to, or should I keep on talking?
Yeah. You can keep, and then
okay,
we will stop a bit more. Yeah.
As you say, also the thing with the Super 8 images, they have this dreamlike quality, and what they sort of like serve as a filter. It's like this sort of like it's like a filter of the past. I mean, you can actually transform the images of the present in a way so that they look like images from the past. So I thought that would be a great idea to somehow, use the medium and turn the present into something that actually looks like something, that is actually, from the past. It's like, they have this kind of magic quality. So yeah, as you said, it's a tool. It's something, pretty magical, I think. So yeah, should I pause? Okay.
Yeah, 10 seconds. I feel so grateful that we have questions, and so people really appreciate. And I have a comment for Artemis that great acting in your film. But I would also expand
Thank you. I
to
will pass the
also to the
compliments.
others. Yeah. Please, Alexis, you can.
Okay,
yeah.
so about the question, the other question, the second question. Yeah, I don't know. Unfortunately, well, things don't look very good right now. I mean, look what's going on. I mean, I believe that. I mean, we are going through hell right now. I mean, there's a war going on. There's all kind of disaster. There's viruses. There's disease, killings. I mean, the way I see it, mankind is a complete failure. What for me, what the film is saying is that mankind is some kind of a virus itself. It's like a disease that it's when this kind of virus has no more room to spread, then it needs to jump to another, to teleport itself to another planet, to another corner of the universe, to in order to to keep spreading its disease. That's basically what the film is saying, if you know what I'm talking. Basically, you know, the virus, it's mankind itself is the virus.
So I could say you are not so hopeful.
I mean, there is still a chance to save the planet, obviously. But we need to act now, and we have to face the reality of what we're doing. That we're destroying our own future. So, yeah, I mean,
it's true, but at the same time, I would want to have also a positive, approach to this. That you as artists, by doing this and inviting people to reflect on these topics, on these things,
yes,
it's a
of
way
course.
to overcome this.
It's a way to it's a way to say wake up and do something about it. I mean, we need to act now, and I mean, of course, the solution is not to teleport ourselves to another planet. It's the solution is not to abandon Earth, but obviously the solution is to save our planet. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the idea of teleportation. Obviously, teleportation has not been invented, so obviously that's not the solution. We have to fight and save our future and for our kids, obviously, and for the we need to do something, obviously. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think these words help me to return to Jorė and to connections between people and between friends. And I would want to ask you about the parking. Is a metaphor or not for I don't know, maybe people stuck somewhere, or I don't know, people that they're in a place not realizing that there are in connection with the others. Is there or it's my way of reading this?
I think it's there could be many interpretations on this parking lot. It's also a bit like a cave, so you can always, have but for me it was maybe maybe I didn't think about that what you were saying, but for me it was more that it's a more consumerist place, and relationships are also a bit became a thing which we consume. So it was maybe somehow it connected. It came more like naturally somehow, but later I interpreted in this way, and I wish maybe I used it even more, but maybe it's okay. It's not obvious. Yeah. But yeah, I also like that it's a bit like a cave, and which you leave and which you come in, and yeah.
And also the ending, it's also open in a way, and of course it's let us to have our own interpretation. And yeah, this is I think a good film, yeah, to let us also to contribute and to read, not to be guided and controlled like machines. And speaking about metaphors, I would want to ask you, Artemis, because it was a question about the forest. The forest. Yes, a little break. So it's always good for translators. Yes, Artemis, maybe we can continue about metaphors in your films. Yeah.
Yeah, about the forest.
Yeah.
Why did I use it? First of all, it was part of the myth. It was the myth that the forest, that's where the lignite, the coal was, and the myth is about before the coal mines existed, that people would go in the forest, and the lignite would have basically eaten out the earth, so the earth would be now only ash, because it has burned the earth, and the idea is that the locals would get in the forest and they would fall and disappear from the surface of the earth. So that's the idea. And the actual place is the coal mine where we were. It's the actual place where this old myth used to exist. Now the forest. It looks like a forest. It has a lot of trees now, but because of the industries, there's no real forest anymore, as you understand. But of course, the forest as a symbol, it's a place where it's a passage of, growing up. So it's used in fairy tales, of course, where people get into the forest, get lost, things happen to them, they transform, and they end up, different. It's like a coming of age tale. So that's how forest has been used. But mostly I used it because of the myth, as I told you, and it's a place where she gets to go into the darkness and face her fear and come out. I didn't let anything like really dramatic happen to her, because I wanted to, in general, I feel that the most dramatic thing that I wanted her to to happen to her in the movie is that she's losing her brother. That's the dramatic thing. So I didn't want to put more like scary things, although it seems like a scary scene where she's lost in the forest, but I wanted to stay, even though it has elements of magic or of thriller sometimes, I consider this a neorealist film, so I consider this a film that's really based on reality.
Thank you. I see. I'm trying to smile. I see at the time that it's almost done, and we have to have the next slot. But I will have a last question for Kawthar. What I wanted to say is that I'm trying to smile, but after the discussion with you, I just noticed another link that we have in this slot. It's about the missing of connections, of true connections, or I don't know, fear to lose these connections. And I try to smile, but it's not my smile, because it's we have to do something on this with this. We cannot let us, to be alone and to be not connected with the others. So coming back to Kawthar, sorry for if I don't pronounce it well, your name. It's so special. Could you please tell me how the film was received in Egypt? Because for us, it's I think it's another way of reading. How to say? I feel you. I feel everything that you said, but still, I wonder how it was in Egypt to be received. This.
Okay, so in Egypt, I'm not sure if you all know a bit about Egypt or like where it is geographically. We are a Middle Eastern country. We do have very conservative thoughts, and we have censorship on things. It's not easy to completely express yourself as a filmmaker, but I feel that my story is a very lucky story, I can say, because I had the chance to completely express it and to completely reach the audience on many different levels. I've screened it in the Cairo Film Festival. It was the Middle Eastern premiere after I screened in Venice, and the feedback for me was very exciting, because usually in my films I try to focus, I try to make in them different layers of things. Like not all the audience would receive the same exact feeling out of seeing the films. So many of the people in Egypt thought I was very speaking about females, and others thought that I was speaking about gender fluidity, and others thought I'm speaking more about the constraints of what it is to live in Egypt and express the way you love, how it's illegal to show love, but it's legal to kill someone. You can easily see on screen a scene where two people are killing each other, but when you see a kiss, it's a big thing for us. So I was very lucky that after screening in Cairo Film Festival, I also screened in another festival in Egypt, and the audiences, I got feedback from different kind of audiences. Ones who were thinking that, oh, how brave, you're so wild to put a kiss on screen, and others people were seeing that, oh, the family is not a good family to start with, why are you portraying it? But from my perspective, these are real things, and this is what's good about cinema, and this is what makes me want to do more films, is how films are perceived in different ways on different levels. In Cairo Film Festival, I was very lucky to get a prize and to have a different feedback from the audiences of the Cairo Film Festival, as these are whom I consider as cinema lovers, and it was very well received in terms of how they saw the actors, because acting was one of the very main things I was putting effort and energy in, because I wanted it to seem real. I wanted the audience to believe the whole story and actually feel what the characters are feeling. So I'm lucky that like even I can say that in Egypt, in the screening in Egypt, there were some parts that the audience laughed, while screening in Venice, the audience felt so heavy about it. So this is what makes cinema at the end of the day a universal language that has different meanings all around. I'm curious to know how it is received and now we're screening in 7 different countries, so I'm curious to know how it was in each of the countries and how the audience did. So don't know, please write me if you want to say something about it.
Yes, I wanted now at the end to let few seconds more for the translators, and then we will do this because we receive some feedbacks. But after the decision of our jury and after the decision of the audience, actually, we have to let them to decide their favorites.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure to talk with you. It's a pity that the time is so short, that it's film o'clock. We have to be in time. Try to be in time. And good luck with your next projects.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you in person someday. Maybe we will grow enough to be also able to not to have only like here today online meetings, but also in person.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you so
And
much
good
for
luck.
having us.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you so much.